Buongiorno and welcome back. My name is James, and today we will be revisiting the Loomis method, the Andrew Loomis method for drawing the face. We're going to be doing a little bit of a deeper dive this time around, and we're going to be looking at a second approach to Loomis, where we take our time a bit more and really get into the weeds in terms of how exactly Loomis would break things down into thirds. So I'm very happy to have you back with me, and without further ado, let's begin. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to come in and lay in a circle and try to make that circle, as circular as possible, right? And I've been told I do very good circles, but we'll see how this goes. All right, so once I've laid in my circle, what I'm then going to do is I'm going to bisect my circle both ways. So I'm going to lay in a cross. I'm going to do a horizontal center line along which my brow is going to rest. And then I'm also going to come up and do a vertical center line along which my nose and mouth will rest. And the cross is a very important component when you're doing the face, right? You want to get that as accurate as possible. And then the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to divide our circle into 2/3 from the brow line, right? Not from the hairline. We haven't established the hairline yet. In fact, how do we find the hairline? Well, you'd find the hairline by coming up and dividing this into 2 exact thirds, right? So what I want to do is come up here, do 1/3, and then I'm going to do 2/3, and then I'm coming down 1/3 again, and I'm doing 3/3. And when I do that, I generally get something that looks like this. And like I said in my previous video, Loomis is all about thirds, right? So that's something you want to bear in mind. Now, some people will slice off the sides before they do this. It doesn't really matter to me. I think you can divide it into thirds first. It's almost better to do it that way, get that squared away, so you're not sort of mentally wondering, where the heck do I put my hairline, where the heck do I put my nose line? So once you have this effectively divided into thirds coming down from the hairline, right, with your base that you're building off your thirds out from being the brow line, what you're going to do next is you're going to come in and you're just going to come from where this insertion point lies and just mass in this line that delineates the side plane over here, and that's in this line that delineates the side plane over here, and slice a section off from each point on the circle, right? And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to come in here, maybe do one of these things, just bring this line down. We're going to start to carve out our silhouette for the face. So the next thing I want to do is come back up to this brow line, right? And I'm actually going to come down 1/3, and I'm going to divide this center section up into 3/3. Again, Loomis is all about thirds. All right, so if we come down from the brow line 1/3, this is going to be our eye line. And then if we come down here, this will be our nose line. So I'm just going to lay in my nose. And then from here, what I can do is I can now parse this out into fourths. So I'm going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then from here, you can further start to get your face masked in. And then we can come up here. What I'm doing now is I am just throwing in some C curves to help me flesh out some of these facial planes a bit more. Now, if we come down 1/3, this middle section is going to be our mouth. So I'm just gonna throw in a placeholder for the upper lip there. and then this will be the boundary of my lower lip. I'm just going to hint at that. Next thing I want to do is come back up to my eye line here, and I'm going to, before I do anything else, what I want to do is follow this slice up here, and I'm going to divide the top from this slice into thirds as well. Just like so. And he's starting to look a little bit like Pinhead. At least that's what my fiance said when I showed her this. I did a little dry run before this, and I showed her the dry run, and she said it kind of looked like Pinhead. All right, so we have thirds going across from where this insertion point meets the top of the skull. 1, 2, 3. We have thirds coming down from the hairline to the brow line. 1, 2, nose line. 3, chin. Our eyes are located halfway between the chin and the top of the head right here. And again, we're breaking this distance between the brow line and the nose down into thirds again. So again, thirds being a very important theme of Loomis, right? The crux of Loomis is you're measuring everything out into thirds. And there's different variations or ways of approaching the Loomis method. What I'm showing you here is the most conventional way of approaching the Loomis. The version that I showed in my previous video is more of an abridged version that I did in a little under 5 minutes. This version, we take our time a little bit more, but to be honest, I prefer this method. I think it's worth taking the time to stop and just really get into the nitty-gritty of the proportions, right? And if I were to do a job, for instance, I would definitely take my time and really make sure those proportions are spot on. Whenever I'm doing a book cover or whenever I'm doing a commission, I want to make sure that all those proportions are spot on, right? So now what I'm doing is halfway between these 2 points, coming down, halfway between these 2 points, coming down, making a mark, and now I've found the space along which my eyes are going to rest. And when you do this, you want to divide your eyes into 3 equidistant columns, and it helps if you actually come up from the nose and go right through, like so. Just like that. And then we can do a column A, column B, column C, right? So column A is the same width as column B, which is the same width as column C. And the edge of each nose lines up roughly with the edge of each eye here. So then what I'm going to do is come up, do a trapezoid with a shallow angle on the outer edge, steep angle on the inner edge. Same thing, come up, do a trapezoid. We can make that slope slightly here. And then if I want, I can come down, give this a little bit of a shallow trough on this end, steep trough on that end, steep trough on this end, shallow trough on that end. Again, I'm just sort of hinting at the bottom here because when I go in and lay in oil paint or digital paints, that paint is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting and inform the boundaries of my shapes with value as opposed to line, right? Then I can come up here along this brow line, lay in my eyebrows. And again, this is sort of, I like Loomis because it's the non-thinking man's method. I've done the Riley method before. I find it very complicated, and it works. It's super accurate, but there's just a lot of C curves. You're using C curves and S curves. Essentially, there's a lot of geometry, preliminary geometry, before you even get to the eyes. I think overall, the Riley method is probably, you can probably achieve a greater level of accuracy in certain poses of the head using the Riley method because it is based on very precise geometry, but the Loomis method is quicker, more economical, more efficient in my opinion if you're under the gun and you really need to knock out an accurate head here. So then what I'm doing is I'm just coming in halfway between each point here, laying in that bridge of the nose. Then again, halfway between here and here, and halfway between here and here. And this is incorporating a little bit of Riley, then coming down. And then we can sort of build out this edge of the nose that way. And basically you have a accurate nose now. You can hint at the nostril coming down. and you have your eyes and eyebrows all laid in. At this point, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of detailing the nostril. I can come out here, get that bridge of the nose, doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided figure from halfway point to halfway point, and just laying in that shape right there. Right now here I can come from this insertion point here up, this insertion point here up, lay in that side plane, and then I'm coming in and I'm actually just going to cut in a little bit on either side, shave down my head here. Define that edge, clean that edge up a little bit. Coming out, finding my ear from the eyebrow to the bottom of the nose here. And then I'm coming out, finding my ear from the eyebrow to the bottom of the nose. And again, just continuing to sort of cut in this head a little bit. But not too much, right? Let's give that ear a little bit more real estate. I'm just sort of using comparative anatomy to help me get this ear here, which is basically, you know, you kind of understand how the shapes of the ear relate to each other. The main thing, again, to remember with Loomis is you want to get everything into thirds, right? So we want to come all the way up. We want to clearly delineate this point for the top of the head. And if we hold this up, you can see that's a pretty proportional head, right? Now you can make these, the jawline, you can modify it from here. If you're doing a woman, you can take the jawline in. If you're doing more of a Henry Cavill guy, like a square jawed, like action hero, we can take this jawline out. You know, we can do all sorts of crazy stuff with the jaw here. And then from here, what you can do is lay in your eyes, irises and pupils. And I'm just, for the sake of argument, doing my irises dark so you can kind of see how the pupils fall in the eye. Get that tear duct, come up. Get that eyelid, tear duct, come up. Get that eyelid. I can modify this plane a little bit if need be. I can come out now from this point. I can find this plane for my cheeks. And I am incorporating a little bit of Riley here. Now, one thing with your mouth, right? If we come in here, we get this hair lip. You can start to parse out that hair lip. I want to go halfway between each eye here to find where my lips end. And you can see when I do that, I get a face, right? The Loomis face. So basically, I hope that clarifies things for you. I'll label this so you can clearly see. We have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Then we have from here 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Then we come in here, we have 1, 2, 3, third, third, third. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the only time we're really using force. And that is my sort of extended tutorial on the Loomis method, right? You can come in, you can get this nostril if you want. So I hope you found that beneficial, and until next time, ciao, arrivederci, and I hope to see you next week with a new video, a new tutorial. All right, guys, take care. Bye.